Yeah, all of that to come, but there is one topic that dominates all the Premier League talking points, and it is one which we will be debated about for a long time to come, it feels. It's a decision dubbed the biggest in the history of VAR, a late equaliser for West Ham against Arsenal, ruled out after a lengthy check, giving Mikel Arteta's side a crucial win in their bid for a first title in 22 years. Merce, I know you would have watched it a million times over. Let's start with then, is it a foul for you or no foul?
Oh, it's a Stonewall foul. Yeah, it's Stonewall foul, but there's so much going on around the foul. I mean, you look at it now and you think, if Raya comes and catches the ball, West Ham will get a penalty. You know, because Declan Rice is fouling, Trossard's fouling.
Wait, is it finally happening? After Arsenal's massive win against West Ham United F.C, football pundits are starting to say something nobody expected a few months ago: the title race is over. And when voices like Jamie Carragher and Paul Merson start admitting it, you know something serious is happening at Arsenal FC. For years, Arsenal fans have waited for this moment. The pressure. The criticism. The heartbreak. People laughed at Arsenal. Doubted Arteta. Called them bottlers. But now, the entire football world is being forced to take Arsenal seriously. Because after beating West Ham, the dream suddenly feels real. This wasn't just another Premier League game. This felt like a champion's performance. Arsenal looked calm under pressure. Focused. Ruthless. Mature. And when the breakthrough came, the Emirates erupted. Every tackle mattered. Every pass mattered. This team played like they know the title is within touching distance. And honestly, that confidence is terrifying for the rest of the league. Now here's where things got really interesting, because even pundits who questioned Arsenal before are changing their tune. Jamie Carragher admitted Arsenal look unstoppable right now. And Paul Merson? He believes the title race might actually be done. That's a huge statement. Because these guys have seen title races collapse before. So for them to say this Arsenal side feels different, that tells you everything. The scary part? Arsenal still look hungry. Players like Bukayo Saka are stepping up in the biggest moments. The midfield looks composed. The defense looks solid. And Mikel Arteta has completely transformed the mentality of this club. This isn't the old Arsenal anymore. This team believes they belong at the top. And once a squad starts believing, stopping them becomes very difficult. Now hold on, before Arsenal fans start celebrating too early, there's still pressure ahead. Because the Premier League is ruthless. One mistake changes everything. And teams like Manchester City FC are still dangerous. So Arsenal can't relax. Not yet. But one thing is clear, momentum is fully on Arsenal's side. So, are Arsenal champions already? Maybe not officially. But after this performance against West Ham, the belief is becoming impossible to ignore. And if Arsenal finish the job, this could become one of the greatest comeback stories in Premier League history. What do you think? Is the title race officially over? Or can Manchester City still come back? Drop your predictions in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Football Pulse for more football reactions, breaking news, and viral Premier League content. Because trust me, this season is heading for an insane ending.
2 games, I expect them maybe to get 4 points or even win, and that could keep them up.
Will that be enough? That's the question, isn't it? Right, we'll get on to that, but let's bring Dave in, because you've been having a closer look at the controversy.
Yeah, look, I must say, when the goal went in yesterday, I thought, finally we get to have a proper debate about where the game is going with corners. I've been banging on about this all season, and now in the biggest game, with the biggest decisions and the biggest prizes on the line, we get to talk about it now. A higher share of corners are being targeted at the 6-yard box than ever before. So why are teams doing it? And does the officiating need to catch up with what is going on in the game? Firstly, let's talk about why they are doing it. Put simply, it is because it's proving successful. Here we have the direct goals from corners into the 6-yard box per game in the Premier League this season. and also comparing it to previous seasons all the way back to 2021-22. Now, what we are calling a direct goal is when the first contact results in the goal. We're not talking about rebounds, we're not talking about second phase, it's just when the first contact results in the goal. Now, success, as you can see, has remained pretty much stable over the last few seasons, but look what has happened this campaign. Big jump, we're up to 0.13 goals per game from direct goals into from direct corners into the 6-yard box, resulting in goals, I should say. Now, what that means is it's an 85% increase on last season. And it also means if you look across a Premier League match weekend, you're going to get at least one, probably two of these goals being scored every single week. How are teams doing it then? Well, they are packing the 6-yard box. We've talked about this on the Premier League show before, something called the meat wall, which was coined by Michael Cayley. This is trying to tell you about the number of attacking players and the number of defensive players in the 6-yard box. Now, on average, you're looking at 3.2, around 3 attacking players in the 6-yard box when a corner is struck this season, and you're looking at around 7 defensive players in the 6-yard box when a corner is struck. Now, that's a significant increase certainly from attacking players anyway. We saw 1.9 in 23-24. It then rose to 2.5 in 24-25. And now, as I say, we're looking at 3.2 attacking players. That's an increase from there to there of 68% on 2 seasons ago. So really, when a corner is taken, you're looking at 10 players in the 6-yard box. And this doesn't even account, by the way, for players rushing into that part of the penalty area when the ball is struck, which is something that Arsenal like to do. So loads of players in that area. Are more fouls then being given in that part of the pitch? This is the number of fouls being given in the 6-yard box per game. This includes set pieces and open play, by the way, in this one. We are, at the moment, this season, at the highest rate of fouls being given in the 6-yard box over the last 3 seasons. But it's not really a massive increase. If you look at that, 0.23 last season, 0.24 this season. Does the officiating need to catch up with the sheer number of bodies, the sheer number of grappling which is happening in the game? And who is the most fouled player in the 6-yard box? I know everyone's looking for David Raya on this list. He is not there. Aston Villa goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez is the most fouled player in the 6-yard box this season. That particular foul, by the way, on David Raya was just the 2nd time that he has been fouled in the 6-yard box this season. I think it just opens up the debate about where we want the game to go on corner kicks going forward and how it is going to develop in the future. Because if the officiating doesn't catch up on this, it's going to continue.
I mean, what can the PGMO do then when there are so many? Dave's talking there about the amount of bodies in the box that's getting packed out. I think a lot of people yesterday, the response was, when you're looking at social media, they just want consistency, don't they, across the board?
Yeah, and I think they're scared at the moment because they're thinking if we give a foul every time, we give a penalty every time there's a corner. But you have to stop it some way. You know, my pet hate is when a corner's coming in from there and the defender's facing the other way, marking someone like a basketball match. I mean, for me, that's just straight away, that's a red flag. It's like going, well, you're just going to foul him. You're not even looking where the ball is. They've got to sort this out. They've got to get it sorted quickly. And then the quicker they do that, and I thought after the World Cup, I thought, oh, there's going to be loads of goals, going to be loads of penalties, and they just nip it in the bud. They just nip it in the bud. And I think sometimes you might have to start declining and saying, right, all right, there was a foul on the keeper, but he was fouling him, so penalties declined, you know, and we'll go with what's on. For me, they've got to change something because there's about 6-7 fouls in there. I mean, it's madness, and that's not just yesterday. That's every day, every single corner that goes in. People are pulling. They're pulling them around. They're holding their waist. They're pulling shirts. They need to sort something out. But you know, as soon as he went over, you see everybody knew that he was going to give a no goal. You know, because that's what they do, don't they?
Yeah. Well, of course, on the Monday Night Football, they will go in depth on that huge talking point and the impact it has had on the title race and relegation as well. But I caught up with Jamie Carragher in the M&F studio a little earlier. Yeah, it is the perfect day to have a Monday Night Football, isn't it? I feel that even an hour and a half build-up still isn't enough to talk about everything from the weekend, especially what happened at the London Stadium yesterday. I know you're going to do a deep dive and talk in depth about that VAR controversy. Tell us what we can expect tonight.
Well, yeah, we've been looking at it all morning, as you'd expect. So we're going to get to the bottom of it, hopefully before 6:30. That is the plan. But we want to try and give it the detail it deserves. And as I said, because it wasn't just about, you know, the top of the table, it had an effect on so many other teams. And I actually said before the weekend, it feels like the biggest game of the season. because it affected 4 teams, so it's 2 teams involved, plus Spurs, plus Manchester City as well. Get the controversy at the end. Could have went either way, I suppose. People have seen it differently, and yeah, we'll get into that. But there was a lot more in the game as well. It wasn't just about that one decision. It was a fascinating watch.
Looking forward to hearing your opinion and your guest tonight in Jermaine Defoe as well. But do we feel like that moment, when we're looking at the emotion, could that go down in history? We look back at the Aguero moment, for example. Will that go down as one of those big moments, do we think?
If Arsenal win the league,
yeah.
Which I think I said last week, if they win at West Ham, they'll win the league. So I think they've got a great chance. I mean, I still believe that. Anybody to do with Arsenal, whether you're a player or a fan, won't believe that, because that's the nature of the game. You always think the worst is round the corner. But they've got a really favourable fixture, I think, coming next, Burnley at home. And then, yeah, they've got a game away at Crystal Palace. Obviously, it's not easy, but if you were picking a fixture, that would probably one that you'd pick away from home, considering the European commitments they've got.
You talked about some of the other sort of big moments in that game as well. Obviously, you'd be looking at the Trossard winner, but even before that, the David Raya save, some people could say...
Probably quite adamant at the time that I felt Arsenal needed to move on from Ramsdale, who was a good Premier League goalkeeper. I just didn't think you could win the Premier League with him in goal. Now, it remained to be seen whether he was the guy, but it was a brave decision. I think the fact that the former coach of David Raya at Brentford, I think, moved to Arsenal, so probably gave him a little bit of an insight how good a goalkeeper he was. But he's been a revelation. And I think on this show, probably a couple of months ago, we made a big play about the fact of whose goalkeeper would you want to try and go on and win the league? So to Donnarumma at Man City or David Raya, and he's certainly won that battle. He's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, and arguably one of the best. Well, he's definitely one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He could certainly have that mantle.
Won the Golden Glove, hasn't he, this season? So you're sticking by the fact that you said if Arsenal won against West Ham, they'd win the league? You're staying with that? This is how you see it now? A couple of games for them to go?
Yeah. I think they'll win the league now. I think they just got over that little wobble that they had. There's a couple of games against Manchester City, and since then they've been really impressive. Not always in terms of performances, but they haven't looked nervous. They haven't looked edgy. There was probably 4 or 5 games spell where it looked like they're coming off track, but they look like they're back on it now.
If you're Arsenal fans, though, you don't care about the performances so much, do you?
Oh, no.
You want to win the title.
No, that's the same with every team. We always say, at this stage of the season, it's not about performance, it's about points. It's always about points at any stage of the season.
That's how it works.
Exactly. Right? So, no, they're doing it the way they do it. It's not as probably eye-catching as Manchester City, but we've had those debates all season or for years now, about different sort of styles of football. It's about getting across the line, getting that trophy won. And it's, I think they're virtually there.
If you're City, then what's the mindset now? Because I imagine they're feeling pretty deflated.
I think the mindset for them is the Crystal Palace game that comes next, where they could put real pressure on Arsenal, is if they got a decent scoreline in that game. Now, they scored 3 at the weekend against Brentford. Arsenal obviously only got 1 against their West Ham. If they could win by 3 or 4 goals... Just
for the goal difference?
Yeah, I think that could put pressure on Arsenal and almost take that idea that you could afford to draw a game out the equation. If the goal difference was heavily in Manchester City's favour, you're making sure that on the last game of the season, if you like, if Man City win their games as well, but they could put real pressure where you have to make Arsenal win.
Yeah, they have.
And then you never know what happens. Crystal Palace get in there, score first, there's a red card, there's a VAR decision, who knows? But I think that could be something because the Crystal Palace game, they'll have the minds on the European game. Yes, I know Arsenal played them last game of the season as well. But I think that's where they could maybe add a little pressure if they won well against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, loads for you to get into tonight alongside Dave and Jermaine Defoe. M&F is live, as always, from 6:30 on Sky Sports Main Event. Yeah, looking forward to that. Mercer, a word on David Raya then, because what a moment that was, the save. That came kind of before everything else, really. Great
save. Shouldn't be allowed to save it, in my opinion. It's a big chance that it's got to score. It's got to score. It's more of a big miss for me than big save.
Too many touches?
Too many touches, and all his shapes horribly wrong as he does. You can go pick through this, as he gets it. Great bit of play there, great touch, and then bend it in the corner. Tries to be, by the time, if you keep on watching it, by the time he takes his shot, he's virtually falling over. That can't happen. If you watch Harry Kane or any top centre forward, they're all quick feet. He's stretching, his foot's not in the right place, it gives way, and then he goes, don't get me wrong, top save, but it's a top miss as well. It's a top miss.
That's a good way of putting it. It felt like the end of that game just had all the drama. You, of course, played in that famous 1989 game at Anfield, which, won you the title after a long period without one. Did the drama yesterday feel close to that?
in a different way. But yeah, I mean, well, for TV wise, for neutrals, you know, it was unbelievable last night. If you were sitting on holiday and you was reading a book and you said this was going to happen, you'd throw the book in the sea. You go, oh, that can't happen, can it? There's a minute to go, and Arsenal need to win and West Ham need to get at least a draw. And if they don't, Arsenal could lose the league. And then all of a sudden that happens. I mean, it was, yeah, absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah, I mean, VAR, I'm not a great lover of VAR, but, you know, I think there's no bigger buzz than scoring a football goal. You know, it's amazing to score a goal in front of 30, 40, even 5,000 or whatever, but that buzz of it in the back of the net is just getting taken away more and more every week, more and more, and we need to try and sort this out.